Forget the crowded skline. Canada's most livable beauty spots are hiding in small towns, and the best one has a rule that catches almost everyone off guard. If packed streets and runaway housing costs have you craving elbow room, you're in good company. More people are realizing that more space doesn't have to mean more boring. Canada is full of places where the view is ridiculous, the pace is calmer, and your daily routine feels less like a sprint. But let's be honest, a town can look stunning and still be a bad fit. Some places are adorable for a weekend and frustrating after a few months. Others feel quiet at first. Then you realize the quiet is the luxury you were missing. So how do you separate a pretty postcard from a place you can actually build a life? Here's a quick way to think about it. You're not just picking scenery. You're picking your errands, your weekends, your neighbors, and your normal. You're picking whether you want a walkable main street or a driveway and a view. You're picking if you want ocean air, mountain silence, or a town where the same barista knows your name by the second week. And the smartest moves aren't just about cheap prices, they're about value. What you get for what you pay. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most beautiful towns and regions to live in across Canada. We're talking coastal harbors, mountain valleys, lakeside villages, and wild shorelines. I'll also sprinkle in what makes each spot livable: community vibe, safety, day-to-day costs, and the small stuff that ends up mattering most. And before every major turn, I'll tease what's coming because the top pick isn't just gorgeous, it plays by different rules. Ready? 10th, Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. Lunenburg is one of those rare places that doesn't feel staged. It feels lived in, loved in, and strangely timeless. The first thing you notice is the waterfront. Bright buildings, fishing boats, and houses painted in bold colors climbing the hillside like a candy box tipped toward the sea. Then you realize the town isn't historic themed. It's genuinely historic, in motion. UNESCO recognizes Lunenburg's heritage value, and the town treats that recognition like a responsibility, not a marketing slogan. A huge chunk of its colonial-era architecture from the 18th and 19th centuries still stands and still serves everyday life. Shops, homes, cafes, studios. Doesn't it hit different when the old buildings are where you actually buy your bread? With a population around 2,400, the place feels personal fast. You learn the rhythms: when the harbor is busiest, when the fog rolls in, when the fishermen return. Mornings smell like salt air. Afternoons can turn golden when the sun hits the water just right. And evenings? They're quiet in a way that makes you hear your own thoughts again. Maritime culture is stitched into everything. Shipbuilding history runs deep here, and the stories aren't locked away. They're part of conversation. People still talk about the sea with a respect that city living rarely teaches. When seafood season ramps up, it feels less like dining out and more like participating in the place. And yes, lobster is a big deal. You can still find a full lobster plate for under 30 Canadian dollars, and the taste is so fresh it almost feels unfair. Here's a question. Would you rather pay for fancy decor or pay for food that's actually from the water you're looking at? Cost of living surprises people. For a town that looks this good, average home prices often hover around 360,000 Canadian dollars, far less than the prices that dominate Canada's biggest metros. Nova Scotia property taxes often compare favorably with other provinces, and that can make a noticeable difference over the years. Now the real-life angle. Lunenburg is small, which means you plan differently. Big city shopping runs become occasional trips, not daily habits. But in return, you get a walkable core, local businesses that feel personal, and a pace that lowers stress without you even noticing. If you work remotely, you'll want to check your specific internet options, but the town's size can also be an advantage. Fewer distractions, more focus. Safety is another quiet advantage. Crime rates trend well below national levels, and the social vibe feels open. People wave, people chat. It's the kind of place where a quick errand can turn into a 10-minute conversation you don't regret. If you want coastal views, walkable streets, and a community that feels like it still remembers itself, Lunenburg doesn't just offer a nice life. It makes a calm life feel exciting. But the next town turns the seasons into an event. 9th, Mont-Tremblant, Quebec. Mont-Tremblant is what happens when a mountain town decides to stay charming in every season. Winter lays fresh snow like powdered sugar. Summer brings warm breezes through maple trees. Autumn sets the hills on fire with color. Spring feels like the world exhaling. Set in the Laurentian Mountains about 130 kilometers northwest of Montreal, It's not huge, just under 10,000 residents, but it welcomes millions of visitors each year. That visitor count sounds intense, and sometimes it is. Yet the tourism also supports services, restaurants, and cultural life that many small towns can't sustain. The key is that locals still have a life here, not just a job. The ski resort is the headline. It's a top destination in eastern North America with a long lineup of runs and views that make you stop mid-slope just to stare. But warm season life matters just as much if you actually live here. Locals kayak on nearby lakes, cycle mountain routes, hike forest trails, and walk through a pedestrian village that feels European without feeling fake. Here's a small detail that matters. The town is built around being outside. That changes how you spend money and time. Instead of paying for constant entertainment, you end up paying for gear, hot drinks, and the occasional cozy dinner after a long day. And that lifestyle can feel healthier because your body is involved in your life again. Would you rather be tired from screens or tired from climbing a hill with a view? Here's the livability shocker. It can be more attainable than people expect. Average home prices often land around 480,000 Canadian dollars. Still a serious number, but modest compared to big city markets. One-bedroom rents can hover near 1,300 Canadian dollars monthly, typically lower than Montreal's average. Language can be a worry for newcomers, but Mont-Tremblant is known for a bilingual feel. French is dominant, but many residents are comfortable in both French and English, which can make integration smoother. Quebec's lower daycare costs and broad healthcare access can also matter a lot for families and retirees. Safety is strong too, with crime levels often below national benchmarks. And when you add nearby protected wilderness, massive stretches of forest and trails, you get a lifestyle where after work can mean into the woods without a long commute. There is a trade-off. During peak seasons, traffic and crowds can spike. Some locals plan errands earlier in the day or use quieter shoulder season rhythms to balance things out. If you can handle the occasional tourist wave, you get a home that feels like people travel thousands of kilometers to visit. Imagine that. Your town is someone else's dream trip. Next, we head to Ontario water, so clear it looks unreal. 8th, Tobermory, Ontario. Tobermory sits at the top of the Bruce Peninsula like a secret that finally got caught. It's small, it's peaceful, and the water is so clear and turquoise that people do a double take the first time they see it. This is where Georgian Bay meets Lake Huron, and the result is a coastline that feels carved for adventurers. The area is famous for diving because shipwrecks rest beneath the surface, and on calm days the visibility is almost shocking. Even if you never put on a wetsuit, the shoreline lookouts and boat tours give you that "I can't believe this is Ontario" feeling. Year-round, the population is around 2,000. In summer, it swells with hikers, paddlers, and photographers heading to nearby national and marine parks. Yet the town's personality stays slow and friendly. It's the kind of place that quietly forces you to stop rushing. And isn't that what people say they want, until they actually get it? Here's what daily life can look like. Mornings are quiet. People walk the harbor with coffee. Afternoons are for trails, water, or simple errands that don't take an hour. Nights are dark enough to see stars in a way most city dwellers forget exists. You trade nightlife for nature, and for many people, that trade feels like an upgrade. Housing here tells two different stories. Waterfront cabins can sail past $600,000 CAD, especially when they come with postcard views. Move a little inland, though, and prices often land closer to $420,000. Stack that up against Toronto's million-dollar market, and the contrast feels huge. Taxes are another quiet win. Property tax rates tend to run lower than in many large Ontario cities, which can ease long-term costs. The compromise comes with convenience. You won't be surrounded by endless megastores. Instead, life revolves around cozy diners, where staff remember your name, small hotels, and independent shops with personality. Internet access is steadily improving as rural broadband projects expand, making the town more realistic for remote workers, assuming you double-check service availability before committing. Winters are slower and some businesses operate seasonally, so it helps if you're comfortable with quiet stretches and handling things on your own. It raises a fun question. What if your vacation spot was just outside your door? Elora feels like a place where art and landscape teamed up to design a village. It's close enough to urban centers for convenience, but far enough to feel like a retreat. About 25 minutes from Guelph and roughly 90 minutes from Toronto. That balance makes it a favorite escape for people who still want city access. Its defining feature is the gorge. The Grand River carved deep into limestone, creating dramatic cliffs above and roaring water below. On hot days, locals float downstream, swim, or sit on sun-warmed rocks listening to the current. Living here means that view isn't a special outing, it's part of daily life. The downtown core is packed with 19th century stone buildings now home to cafes, galleries, artisan shops, and farm-forward restaurants. There's also a well-known spa and a renovated mill, which fits the town's overall mindset. Slow down, look after yourself, enjoy where you are. Creativity shows up everywhere. Shop windows feel thoughtfully styled. Local art is visible in stores, public spaces, and community events. Residents talk about Elora with a kind of protectiveness, like caretakers of something rare. That pride spills into cleaner streets and neighbors who stay involved. Real estate reflects demand. Average home prices hover around 750,000 CAD, though townhouses or renovation projects sometimes appear closer to $500,000 if you move quickly. One-bedroom apartments often rent for about $1,600 CAD. So, why the competition? Because lifestyle doesn't always show up in spreadsheets. Elora offers strong schools, family-friendly parks, and a packed calendar of festivals. Classical music performances, river-based events, and community celebrations keep the town buzzing. Crime rates remain low, reinforcing its relaxed atmosphere. There's also a practical advantage: proximity. Being near larger cities means easier access to hospitals, airports, and specialized shopping without giving up small-town calm. For many people, that balance is the real prize. Now let's head somewhere that feels much bigger than its population. Jasper exists inside Jasper National Park, and that alone reshapes daily life. The town itself has fewer than 5,000 residents, yet it feels vast because of what surrounds it: towering mountains, glaciers, forests, and deep blue lakes. Wildlife isn't rare, it's routine. Elk stroll through town as if they pay rent. Mountain goats cling to nearby slopes. Moose appear unexpectedly, silent, and imposing. Even the air feels different, clean in a way that's hard to explain until you've lived it. Outdoor adventure isn't optional here, it's built into the lifestyle. Famous lakes are a short drive away, offering boat tours and views that look unreal even without filters. A sky tram lifts you above the valley, giving you a perspective that shrinks everyday worries. Winter brings skiing without the heavy crowds of bigger resorts, making the slopes feel more authentic and less commercial. Life in Jasper is made of small daily bonuses. Your drive to work includes mountain peaks. Your lunch break might be spent beside a river. Your weekend hike would be a bucket list trip for someone else. Time starts to revolve around sunlight and snowfall instead of notifications and schedules. Locals recognize each other. Small businesses feel personal. The economy leans on ecotourism, park work, and services. There's a steady flow of jobs tied to the region. Remote workers often love it too. The town offers the kind of after-work life that big cities can't. Housing can be more moderate than other alpine hotspots. Average home prices often hover around 550,000 Canadian dollars, lower than some nearby mountain towns that regularly hit seven figures. Rentals can be tight because park rules limit development. Units around 1,400 Canadian dollars per month can appear if you're persistent and quick. The hidden superpower is the night sky. Jasper is part of a protected dark sky area. On clear nights, the stars are intense. You don't just see a few bright points, you see depth. You see the universe. When was the last time you felt small in a good way? Next, we trade mountain air for island air. Fifth, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Charlottetown carries history, but it's not stuck in it. Yes, it's tied to Canada's Confederation story, yet modern life here feels warm, social, and coastal. It's the island's capital, but it often behaves like a friendly seaside town with extra amenities. With just over 38,000 residents, it's big enough for convenience and small enough for familiarity. You can stroll past brick buildings, tree-lined streets, and a waterfront that invites long walks. Farmers markets feel like community gatherings. Patios feel like living rooms. Affordability is a major draw. Around early 2025, average home prices hovered near 360,000 Canadian dollars. One-bedroom rents often landed close to 1,100. Compared with larger Atlantic and Ontario markets, that can feel like breathing room. Property taxes on the island are often among the lowest in the country, which helps long-term stability. Work opportunities have expanded in healthcare, education, and technology. The small business ecosystem is supportive, and local programs can help entrepreneurs get traction. Food culture is a highlight. Mussels, oysters, lobster, and fresh catch show up often. It feels normal to eat like you're on vacation. Life here also has that island rhythm. Things move a bit slower. People tend to talk a little longer. Summers are busy and bright, and winters can feel quieter, which many residents actually love. If you enjoy community events, you'll find them, from music gatherings to performances rooted in local storytelling. Safety trends strong, with crime rates often well below national averages. Then there's the wider island. Red sand cliffs, wide beaches, bike trails, and rolling green landscapes that look soft enough to be painted. If you want coastal living that doesn't demand a big city budget, Charlottetown makes a strong case. But now we shift to a region that feels like rural France got a Canadian passport. Fourth, Estrie, Quebec, also called the Eastern Townships. Estrie doesn't chase your attention. It earns it slowly. Located in southeastern Quebec, east of Montreal, it's a region of small towns and villages, places like Magog, Sutton, and Knowlton, connected by lakes, rolling hills, and a culture that values slow quality over fast quantity. The setting is the Selle, serene lakes like Memphremagog, forested slopes for hiking and skiing, and autumn colors that make people pull over just to stare. It's often compared to Vermont, but with Quebec character, French charm, strong local food, and a growing wine scene. Home prices can be pleasantly manageable. Regional averages often hover around 375,000 Canadian dollars. Outside tourist hotspots, you can still find country homes and cottages under 300,000. Rent can run in the 900 to 1,200 range for a cozy apartment, sometimes with views that feel expensive even when they're not. Estrie also has a cultural heartbeat. Artisan markets, music festivals, and farm-to-table restaurants are common. Maple syrup is local in a way that feels almost comically close, tapped from trees that might be down the road. French is celebrated, but English speakers are also welcomed, especially in communities where bilingual life is normal. The lifestyle here is built around small pleasures: a lake swim after work, a bakery stop on a snowy morning, a quick drive to a winery with views of hills that roll like waves. The region feels romantic without being pretentious, and that's a rare mix. Could you picture yourself living somewhere that makes ordinary days feel like weekend days? Practical life stays smooth. Traffic is light, healthcare access is strong for a region, and clinics and smaller hospitals are spread across the area. Safety is a standout, with crime rates often far below national benchmarks. If you want calm without isolation, wine tastings, ski runs, lake swims, and neighbors who actually show up, Estrie is the kind of place that doesn't shout, "Move here." It whispers it, and the whisper sticks. Next comes a town that is anything but quiet. Third, Tofino, British Columbia. Tofino sits on the wild edge of Vancouver Island, facing the Pacific like it's daring the ocean to impress it. It's small, just over 2,000 year-round residents, but it feels massive because the environment is so intense. Wide beaches, crashing waves, misty mornings, ancient rainforest, sunsets that can make you stop mid-sentence. This isn't polished resort life. It's rugged beauty, and people who live here tend to like it that way. It's famous for surfing, but it's also known for food and art. You can watch storm waves, then eat a meal that would hold its own in a big city. People travel here specifically to storm watch, which sounds odd until you experience it and realize it's weirdly calming. Have you ever had weather make you feel more alive instead of irritated? Now the hard truth, housing is expensive. High demand and limited space push average home prices toward 1,100,000 Canadian dollars, especially near the water. Rentals are scarce, and one-bedroom units can run from 1,800 to over 2,000 Canadian dollars if you find one at all. So why do people stay? Many locals get creative. Cabins, tiny homes, shared spaces, and long-term arrangements that keep them close to the coast. Tourism drives the local economy, but remote work is bringing in professionals who can trade cubicles for coastline. Internet infrastructure has been expanding, making video calls from a rainforest town more realistic. Environmental values are central too, because the town sits within a UNESCO-recognized biosphere reserve region, shaping community decisions around sustainability. That can affect development, building choices, and how residents think about growth. It's not always convenient, but it keeps the magic intact. And isn't that why people come in the first place? Community feels tight because nature demands cooperation. Big storms, long winters, and remote logistics make neighbors rely on each other. Add hot springs, whale sightings, cedar forests, and endless trails, and life starts to feel like a reset button that never stops working. If you crave a place that strips life down to essentials, air, water, trees, and community, Tofino doesn't just invite you, it challenges you. Now back to the Rockies for a town that blends mountain life with everyday practicality. Second, Canmore, Alberta. Canmore gives you that Rocky Mountain backdrop without making you feel like your town is a tourist-only stage. It sits about 20 minutes from Banff National Park and roughly an hour from Calgary, which means you can live in mountain country and still reach a major city when you need it. With around 15,000 residents, it feels active without feeling crowded. Trails run everywhere, with more than 70 kilometers of walking paths weaving through town and along the river. The Bow River cuts through the community, adding water sparkle to mountain views. Outdoor life is constant: hiking, biking, climbing, cross-country skiing, and quick drives to national parks. But daily life has balance too. You'll find local breweries, art galleries, yoga studios, and markets that give the town a youthful pulse. People are outdoorsy, yes, but also creative and community-minded. Real estate has surged. Average home prices can sit around 850,000 Canadian dollars, with condos often in the 500,000 to 600,000 range. One-bedroom rents commonly land between 1,600 and 1,800 Canadian dollars per month. It's not cheap, but it can be more flexible than Banff because it isn't bound by the same national park residency restrictions. That flexibility matters if you want to start a business, buy property, or simply not worry about eligibility rules. The economy stays strong through tourism, construction, and a growing base of remote professionals. Alberta's lack of provincial sales tax can reduce everyday costs in a way you actually feel, especially if you're budgeting carefully. Safety is dependable. Streets stay tidy, and local programs actually get used. People often call Canmore easy to live in. It sounds dull until you realize that ease is exactly what many people are hunting for. It's worth asking yourself, do you want mountain living that feels like an endless holiday, or mountain living that you can realistically sustain year after year? Canmore leans hard toward the second option. And now for the number one pick. Famous, breathtaking, and more complicated than it first appears. First, Banff, Alberta. Banff looks like someone turned nature's contrast all the way up. Massive peaks wrap around the town in every direction. Turquoise lakes and bold hiking trails sit close enough to make every weekend feel wide open. The town itself, with about 8,000 residents, has a lively main street filled with cafes, shops, galleries, and restaurants that buzz no matter the season. Each part of the year brings its own version of magic. Summer delivers paddle days, long hikes, and pine-scented evenings. Winter trades that for snow-covered streets, warm mugs, and quick trips to world-class ski resorts. Spring and fall slow things down. Cool air, quieter sidewalks, and that moment when locals feel like the town belongs to them again. But here's the detail that changes everything. Banff is located inside a national park. That means living there isn't just about finding a place, you also have to qualify. In many cases, residency depends on working locally or meeting specific criteria, and housing options are tightly capped. Those rules shape both the market and everyday life, and most people don't realize that until they look closely. With limited supply and constant demand, prices climb. Average home values hover near 950,000 Canadian dollars, with condominiums often ranging between 500,000 and 700,000 Canadian dollars. One-bedroom apartments commonly rent for 1,800 to more than 2,200 Canadian dollars, and competition can feel intense. So why do people still push to stay? Safety is a big reason. Crime levels are typically far below national averages, and the town has a sense of security you don't fully appreciate until you experience it. Despite its size, Banff also offers solid services, healthcare access, schools, and recreation, making it far more functional than outsiders assume. There's also a genuine cultural heartbeat. Events run all year. The arts have dedicated spaces. Local gatherings keep the town from feeling like a tourist carousel. Coffee shops double as meeting spots. Trailheads become part of the weekly routine, not just photo ops. Then comes the mental shift. When your everyday view is a wall of mountains catching the sunrise, your habits change. You walk more. You breathe slower. You plan your days around daylight and snowfall instead of screens and notifications. Even a quick errand can turn into a wildlife sighting that resets your mood. When did going to the store last feel like an adventure? The truth is, Banff isn't the easiest place to move to, and it isn't cheap. You have to work within the rules, face stiff competition, and accept that you're trying to live in one of the most photographed places on Earth. But for those who make it work, Banff offers something rare: beauty that doesn't fade after the novelty wears off. It keeps showing up every morning until your daily life starts to match the view outside your window. Newcomers learn another lesson quickly. You don't browse casually here. You prepare. You track listings closely. You keep paperwork ready. Networking through local employers matters because work is often tied to residency. Jobs cluster around hospitality, conservation, retail, healthcare support, trades, and town administration. Remote work can fit into the picture, but eligibility rules still apply, so many people pair online income with a local position. Could you live somewhere where the scenery is free but access comes with real conditions? Day-to-day life has its quirks. Parking tightens up in peak seasons. Food costs can run higher than in major cities because you're in a mountain corridor. Winter driving demands respect, not bravado. The upside is that everyone shares these realities, creating a calm, capable community rhythm. And if Banff feels overwhelming, Canmore becomes the release valve, similar peaks with fewer restrictions. If Canmore feels too expensive, Jasper offers a quieter mountain town feel. If Jasper feels too isolated, Mont Tremblant delivers alpine energy closer to a major city. Coastal living follows its own ladder as well. For a historic harbor town with walkable charm, Lunenburg makes a strong case. If you want a capital-sized town with island pace and more everyday services, Charlottetown is the move. If you want wild coastline and don't mind working harder for housing, Tofino is the dream. Here's a simple self-check. Do you want your fun to be outside or in town? Do you need a big hospital nearby, or are clinics enough? Do you want a social circle that's always rotating, or a community where people recognize you? Your answers point to the right place faster than any spreadsheet. Also, remember the seasonal reality. Some towns swell in summer and calm down in winter. Others flip that pattern and become winter magnets. The best strategy is to visit in the off-season, when the town shows you its real personality. Would you still love the place when the tourists are gone and the weather is honest? If you're moving for affordability, look beyond sticker price. Add taxes, insurance, heating, and how far you'll drive for essentials. A cheaper house that requires constant long drives can quietly cost more than you think. But a slightly pricier spot that saves you stress and time can pay you back every day. And if you're moving for peace, protect your peace. Choose the pace you can actually live with. Some people love total quiet. Others need a buzz, even in a small town. Now, the fun part. Imagine waking up there. What do you hear first? Waves, wind through trees, river water, or nothing at all? What do you smell? Salt air, pine, wood smoke, fresh coffee from a Main Street cafe? That mental picture is your compass. Because the truth is, you're not just moving to a location. You're moving into a version of your life. And the right town makes that version easier to live. Now it's your turn. Which place fits you best? Harbor calm, alpine charm, crystal water, artsy stone streets, dark sky wilderness, island ease, vineyard hills, wild surf, or practical mountain living? If you enjoyed this countdown, hit like and subscribe to my channel for more videos that help you find places worth living, not just visiting.